I love using Vibo because before I started using it, it's just the traditional method, asking people if they have a preference on type of music, what they're looking or hoping to hear, and then based on that. And I found that like a lot of the events that I've done, there's not necessarily a lot of detailed thought that goes into it sometimes. If it's a larger corporate event, there's a lot of stuff going on, and sometimes music is one of more of the lower on the list of what they look at, right? And then also I'm working with people in different locations around the world. So you've got time zone challenges, you've got language barriers, and that makes it more complex as well. So before Vibo, I would ask, what types of music are you hoping for or looking for? And I would try to get some inside scoop from the locals. Hey, what kind of Bollywood music do they play in India? What's the type of music that you guys would want to hear here in Portugal? And it's just kind of a little bit of guesswork. So anywhere from getting some random links to songs, oh, try this or try that, or I'm in Thailand and they want Psy trance. Okay, where do I find that? Can't even go to my normal record pools for that. Where do you begin, right? And so before Vibo, it's just whatever scrappy method I can use to figure out what can I play for this audience in this part of the world that they're gonna like. And it's challenging also sometimes for the international events where it's a corporate party, it's a conference, you have people from multiple different geographic regions, it's a global event, and you got all these different age ranges, and it's like, okay, what do I play for this mixed crowd, right? So one of the cool things recently in Australia, I used this at a corporate event and hundreds of people in attendance. And we were able to, at the very beginning, put up a slide on the screen that said, for our networking party, what type of music do you guys want to hear? Like, let's build the list of songs that you want to hear. And people were, all throughout the day, they were voting up songs, they were adding songs to the app. And there were songs that I would have never thought to play or never realized that people would like. And I was able to get all that information. And I love how easy you made it to import everything. And I think that just attests to you being a DJ, creating a tool for DJs, right? You think of all the little things that's going to make it more simplistic. So instead of me trying to take random samples that people tell me, this is what I would like to hear, and then go and search to see if I have those songs on my computer or trying to download them like I would before, with Vibo, I simply have the people enter, here's the songs I want. I already have the playlist right there in the app. And then I just hit the button and then it just tells me, what do I have, what do I not have? And then I just have to get the songs I didn't have. And so it just made it simple and it takes away stress, frustration. And after being on like a 15-hour flight from the US to Australia, there's a lot to think about and there's a lot of orientation to get on that time zone, and worrying about the music isn't necessarily one of the things you want to do. And so that was pretty cool, even being able to use at the event to hear from people right then and there, what do you want? And I had plenty of time before my set to get everything loaded into my computer for that. The other thing that I really liked was you added the Spotify feature, and that made my life easier for a 1,000-person event that I had coming up that was this year, just recently, a few months ago. And again, it was like there was so much going on with the event, and I asked, and I had pre-meetings, but I couldn't get to like the main person behind the event. I could get their assistant, I could get the other coordinators, and I talked to them several times, and they gave me kind of like the vibe of what they wanted to hear, but I still didn't get anything concrete. And they didn't even have time to go through and add music to the app because there were just so many details. Music just wasn't a big priority. And so where Vibo helped me is they said, well, here's the Spotify playlist that we used last year. Here, does this help you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gold. And I actually hadn't realized that you had that feature. So when I discovered that you could just import a playlist from Spotify, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so convenient. Because then all I had to do was literally plug in their Spotify playlist and then what music do I have? Okay, let's import that into one file, one crate in Serato, and then anything I didn't have, I could look up and download, and it just makes life easier. It makes it simpler, and what it does is it streamlines the planning process to where even in the couple of situations where it was more last minute, it made it even more smooth in that type of scenario.
Amazing. Thank
It
you.
is. It is. No,
Yeah,
I thank you, Michael, because it's so much, it makes things so much easier.
I really appreciate it, and it's interesting to get a different perspective because not everyone does these events all over the place, and it's nice to see like someone that's doing a different type of use case to the same app, and it's just interesting to hear. So again, just keeping it short and sweet. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're really busy, and yeah, I'll
Yeah, well,
probably
Michael, one other time that I want to point out that was a really good, useful time to use the app is when I did use it ahead of time, and there was plenty of time for people to add to it. And so this was a private event that was being held on a cruise ship. It was a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, and this was earlier this year, about 3-4 months ago. And I was able to send it out in an invitation to everyone that was attending in a Facebook group. So we had a private Facebook group, and we had the networking event the first day on the ship. So one of the things that happened was I started having people send in the songs and then upload other songs. And these are people in different parts of the US that had never met before. And so they're able to get their song suggestions in. And again, they had suggestions that I would not have thought to play. As DJs, we tend to sometimes go back to what, we have our favorite songs, or we think we know, okay, it's this genre or this style or this setting, so here's what I think maybe would go great for that. But getting the actual input from the people attending an event, because most events aren't going to be able to necessarily, like, how else would you hear from the people attending, right? Like, you might hear from the group coordinators or the person putting the event on what they think they might want to hear, or what they think the attendees want to hear. But to actually get people that are attending an event before the event to be able to give their song selections and then upvote other song selections, I had amazing suggestions that I wouldn't have thought to play. And that made that event, that first night when we set sail onto the Caribbean, like, that made it that much better. Because when people heard their songs, like, they got excited, and it made my dance floor better. And it gave people like this good vibe. So I think that's also a really cool application of this. And I'm not sure how you would do that without Vibo, where you want to get attendees to be able to contribute to the playlist or the set list for the evening. I think that'd be much more complex. So that was another cool application where I think it really helped make stuff simpler.